Space is the final frontier, a place where science reigns, where technology pushes us beyond the limits of Earth, and where every mission is carefully planned down to the smallest detail. But even in this cold, logical world of rockets and equations, strange things happen. Things that astronauts themselves have admitted to seeing and hearing. Imagine floating hundreds of miles above the Earth, alone in the silence of the cosmos, when suddenly you hear a knock on your ship's hull, a voice on the radio that isn't supposed to exist, or see a shadow moving outside your window. These are the stories astronauts don't often talk about, the eerie, unexplained encounters that make you wonder if space is haunted. Tonight, we're exploring the creepiest astronaut encounters ever recorded, and by the end, you might see the void of space in a whole new light. Let's begin with one of the most famous accounts. In 2003, Chinese astronaut Yang Liwei was on his historic mission aboard Shenzhou 5 when he reported hearing a mysterious knock. He described it as if someone was hitting the hull of his spacecraft from the outside. But how could that be? He was in the vacuum of space, where no one could possibly stand. Yang said the sound repeated, clear and distinct, and he was so disturbed he even opened his capsule door when he returned to Earth to inspect for damage. Nothing was found. No cracks, no dents, no explanation. Years later, he still admits he cannot explain what he heard. Was it thermal expansion, a structural creak, or something or someone tapping from the outside? He's not alone. Soviet cosmonauts in the early years of spaceflight reported similar experiences. Some claimed to hear unexplained bangs, scratches, and even what sounded like footsteps moving across their ships. Imagine being locked inside a capsule no bigger than a car, drifting in orbit, and hearing someone, or something, walking on the outside. One cosmonaut even swore he heard a voice whispering through his radio, speaking in a language he couldn't identify. The Soviets dismissed these reports as static, interference, or the stress of isolation, but those who experienced it weren't so sure. NASA astronauts have also reported encounters they couldn't explain. During the Apollo missions, several astronauts claimed to see strange flashes of light, sometimes even with their eyes closed. At first, they thought it was equipment failure, but it turned out the phenomenon was real, high-energy cosmic rays striking their retinas. Logical explanation, yes, but the way they described it was unsettling, like ghostly bursts of light in the darkness, visions that came from nowhere. Imagine trying to sleep in your capsule and seeing flashes of phantom light even behind your eyelids. For some astronauts, it felt less like science and more like something alive in the void. There are also chilling accounts of ghostly radio transmissions. In the 1960s, Italian radio operators Achille and Giovanni Giudica Cordiglia claimed to intercept signals from Soviet missions. Some of what they recorded sounded like dying astronauts gasping for breath, crying out for help, or reporting failing systems before fading into silence. Were these genuine, lost cosmonauts, erased from history, or something stranger? Voices in the static, drifting through the cosmos. Even American astronauts have reported hearing unexplained noises on their radios. Strange tones, whispers, and voices that weren't supposed to be on their channel. Radio interference can explain some of it, but not all. Sometimes the sounds seem too deliberate, too human, too close. Then there are the shadows. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have occasionally reported seeing shapes moving outside the windows, shadows where there shouldn't be shadows. One described watching what looked like a humanoid figure drift past the station, only to vanish as quickly as it appeared. Another spoke of lights darting through space, zigzagging in ways no satellite or debris could move. NASA tends to chalk these up to reflections, ice particles, or optical illusions. But when multiple trained astronauts describe seeing the same thing, you have to wonder. Perhaps the creepiest reports are the feelings astronauts describe. Many have spoken about the overwhelming sensation of being watched in space, not just by mission control, not just by billions on Earth, but by something else. Some say it's psychological, the isolation, the silence, the endless black pressing in on you. But others are convinced it's more than that. One astronaut admitted that during a spacewalk, he felt as though someone was directly behind him, watching every move. He turned, of course, and saw only the void, but the sensation stayed with him until he re-entered the ship. So what do we make of these encounters? Science offers explanations: thermal expansion causing knocks, cosmic rays creating phantom lights, radio interference producing strange voices. But when astronauts themselves, some of the most highly trained and rational people on Earth, confess to experiences they cannot explain, it leaves us with a chilling possibility. Maybe space is not empty after all. Maybe it's filled with presences we can't yet understand. And maybe, just maybe, the void is not as lonely as we think. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember, for every rocket we send, for every astronaut who ventures beyond Earth, there are mysteries waiting in the silence. Knocks on the hull, voices in the static, shadows drifting in the dark, ghosts in space. Do you believe these stories are hallucinations, natural phenomena, or proof of something paranormal lurking in the cosmos? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the creepiest astronaut encounters ever recorded, don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow mystery lovers, and subscribe to the channel. Because space is full of secrets, and together we'll uncover them one by one.